Alrighty, exciting stuff as we start off in the bottom right corner of the map. Our red Protoss player is ShoWTimE from the big clan, and obviously has been looking pretty darn fantastic as of late. It's been very fun to watch him play and continue to have some good success as he takes on the upper left blue Terran player, Team Liquid's Clem. So first game, best of 5s today, which means that every group's going to be a bit longer. That's why we're only doing 2 groups today instead of the 4 groups we did yesterday. They were best of 3s. And again, the plan is to stream every single match from every single group. Time permitting, I'm pretty sure we'd still have something of a cutoff time, so if we have like super long series, we probably have to turn it around and do something differently here or there. But I imagine that is the plan, to just cast everything. So yeah, the plan is to go through 10 best of 5s. That's what we're going to aim for. It's going to be a long day. Probably going to be longer than yesterday, I would imagine. Because 10 best of 5s, especially when you've got players like these, they can take a while. 1 to 1.5 hours, I would say, for some of these series. I mean, of course, you can have a 3-0 and it goes by quickly, but when you expect Clem ShoWTimE to go to 5 maps and all of that kind of stuff, you're definitely in for a long kind of day, right? And you know, I was looking at the later group as well, and I was just thinking, Soul could potentially play 2 best of 5 TVZs, and we know how Soul likes to play. He went 35 minutes in game number 1 against Sterile yesterday. So definitely a lot to think about that. As you see these few Marines coming down, going in toward the bunker, and the probe of ShoWTimE just rallying around at the front. A couple of extra barracks into the main base here, and Clem is going to go for a 3 racks opener. Now, what the 3 racks opener really does is it's actually really good against a lot of the early game aggression that ShoWTimE can bring to the table. It's a little worse against, say, like an Oracle opening. But against like 4-gate Blink, you have Marauders and Stim ready so much sooner, so it's really good. Against, you know, something along the lines of a Phoenix opener, it's really good because that Phoenix setup is just not really going to do anything against so many Marines and Bio units. They're going to have to cut Phoenix early to get Gateway units out. They're just not going to get value. So the other one that's really kind of notable, though, is it's not going to be good if you go for a Dark Shrine opening, because you're missing that Raven, which is obviously a big way to kind of keep detection on the map and to deal with the DT. So this opening from Clem definitely has its pros and cons. Right now, what he's going up against is really middle of the road, right? ShoWTimE's going to go for a pretty quick 3rd base. So he's going to get 2 gates Blink into the Robo. He's not going to be aggressive with this. He's not going to go 4 gateways. He's absolutely looking to expand in the next moment or two. And he sees everything as well, so he knows exactly what Clem is up to with that hallucination. So he knows the timings of Stim, he knows the timing of combat shields, or roughly knows them. And so he can play around that, making sure you've got units and batteries at the right time. Because that's going to be a big part of this. And in a way, I'm actually kind of surprised that Clem plays this build on this map, because there's not really multiple ways to get onto the map, right? His choice is either he comes this way, and he's going to go up this ramp, or he's going to go this way, and he's going to come up this ramp. So it's going to be one or the other. And I feel like that is something which on other maps you actually have a little bit more rotation potential, but absolutely not on Romanticide. So that's really interesting as to, you know, maybe he's got limited choices here with what he can actually get done. Clem gets in range to nearly kill a Stalker, so a mistake from ShoWTimE. Does not want to lose a Stalker right away. Stalker's coming in, couple of Marines going down, just going to be seeing the rest of the bio continue to stim in. And these few Stalkers in some trouble, so a few Stalkers going down just like that. Pylon in the front goes down as well, and the Robo facility is actually going to be denied here, so Robotics facility falls. I'm just going to be seeing the, wow, the attack from Clem just walks straight into the natural. Holy crapperoni, can we get a rewind on this one? This just ended. This just ended. So he's got the Stalkers that were doing a good job of like picking away at stuff. This feels fine. He doesn't have a battery. I can't believe this was actually the battery in the wall off. He's trying. I just can't believe he doesn't have a battery. You need a battery, right? I mean, the force field does nothing when you can just kill the Robo. You're meant to have a shield battery, guys. You're meant to have a shield battery. I don't know what ShoWTimE was doing. But in the top right-hand side, our red Protoss player down a map. He is ShoWTimE. And the bottom left, our blue Terran is Clem. Yeah. So this is best of 3. So I forgot. I had best of 5s in my mind, but they actually changed the format a little bit to make it a little shorter, to make sure they could actually fit everything on the mainstream. So they're doing 2 best of 3s to start the group, and then 3 best of 5s in the winner's elimination and the decider match. So That's my bad. I just got too excited for the day, okay, guys? I was just so hyped for all the best of 5s. I was just ready for the 24-hour day. And it's actually just best of 3s into best of 5s. So it will be a little bit shorter then. Alright, let's get this up and going. Sorry about that. Obviously, misinformation on my part. We discussed this format like a week and a half ago. And I was like, yeah, that's probably better. And it just completely blanked. Because usually when I say something's better to take TV, they're like, but does it give us a 14-hour day with no breaks? No? We should do full best of 5s and extend the final matches to best of 9 just in case. You know, so usually it goes the other way. But yeah, so I apologize and I'm a little bit incorrect on that one. My apologies, guys. All good though. Hope you're all doing well today, of course, as we get into game 2. I just want to talk about that last game a little bit because obviously it really is a very it's a very weird game because ShoWTimE just dies, and I really stand by that. I like what he had. He just needed a battery. If he can super battery up at that battery, right, it's a completely different fight. You've got a force field to buy some time with, or maybe even a guardian shield. You have 6 stalkers or so. You get an extra warp in. You absolutely push that back. ShoWTimE just had this mistimed in his head, or just, you know, in his mind. It was just not what it was meant to be. He in his head, you know, that battery was on the way. It was going to be on time. But Clem just came straight across the map. And maybe part of it was that he just wasn't ready, or wasn't able to buy enough time with those stalkers as he would have liked to. Because he did take a lot of damage on one of them, right? So maybe he wasn't able to buy enough time, and that was part of the problem. But Clem really just waltzed over. And when that happens, it looks really silly, but you'd be amazed, like, the difference that battery makes actually just makes us a hold or a defense. So ShoWTimE had the information. He should have had that on time, of course. But it may also just come down to the fact that he didn't do as well as, you know, with the stalkers as he wanted to. And it, like I say, the battery is what, like 5-10 seconds off? It's a long time in Starcraft too, but overall it's not the, you know, it's not impossible to make up that time. So yeah, tough first game as Clem goes up 1-0. Grenade bops the Adept over to the side, and that Adept now going to come chasing the Reaper out down to the bottom side. So Reaper goes down to the bottom, and just going to be seeing the orbital command on the way up on the natural expansion, bunker on the NAT as well. Widowmine starport, and we're going to have a lag out. Is this Indy? Oh, it's Enki. That's new. Alright, let's get into this then, because we got this bottom side gateway already continuing up right now. And this is obviously going to be ShoWTimE putting on the pressure in the early stages. So he's got 2 extra gates at home. And he's going to be able to, well, I think Enki should leave the game. No offense, Enki, but kind of lagging out, buddy. Looks like he might have perma-lagged out this time around. So ShoWTimE's about to have 3 gates and a lot of pressure on Clem's natural. Clem's natural, which does have a bunker. And it does have a Widowmine as well. It's not a great way to deal with the Widowmine. Of course, Clem doesn't know what's coming yet. He scouts and he sees 2 gates, no tech. So I think that should be a big sign that he's up against something aggressive. He doesn't actually have SCVs in the low ground to do much here. He's going to get adapted into the natural anyway, so probably don't want too many of those SCVs. Widowmine doesn't go off. Nicely handled by ShoWTimE. He definitely noticed that and backed away from it, so making sure to be very secure there. Loses 1 Marine. Second Widowmine trying to decide where to go for the best. I mean, Depths do not have the Shade Trick ready. And you can see the Marines actually falling back towards the ramp, so just getting into a bit of a better defensive position here as ShoWTimE building probes behind this. Yeah, what do these Marines want to do? The Adepts, I think they're going to commit here. You've got to work around the Widowmines, though, right, is the problem. And now with the Hellion showing up, you actually get a bit of extra damage done here. Here come 3 more Adepts. So the power will, you know, this attack will continue to power up. Obviously, it kind of feels weird that Clem's given up his bunker. The problem is the bunker doesn't really defend the position he wants defending. Oh, nice. He gets the salvage off, too. He wants to defend this area here, and the bunker defends this area here. So when the Adepts are already past the bunker, generally you don't see that kind of continuing. We do see double Widowmine going off. SCVs will pull in as the Hellion has some work to do here. Marine count's definitely taking a few hits. A Banshee showing up. Banshee is great for damage output. Stalkers will obviously be able to put some damage onto that. Currently focusing on a Marine as SCV's still chasing in. Clem is okay to lose some workers here, because this is very committed from ShoWTimE. His tech is very delayed behind it, so you're committing tech, or you're committing units instead of getting tech, so that does cost you quite a bit. That last Stalker is basically the only defense right now against the Banshee, which of course can be repaired. I'm surprised Clem is already... He has so much faith in his own micro, right? I mean, you kind of need to as a Terran player, but... Yeah, he puts it... doesn't even get it repaired just yet. Finally starting to repair. Second Banshee on the way. A few more SCVs will go down. Will this give ShoWTimE enough of an edge? I feel like he's starting to get enough done. 10 workers is starting to be a pretty crazy amount. And it's really going to start to be sizable, right? Something that actually really means something here. As the Stalker count gets back up again, that's a dead Banshee, absolutely. As Marines, Hellion, and the other Banshee will continue through, though, and they should be able to push this away. It's still being very unit expensive from ShoWTimE. If you look at resources lost, it's dead even. The big difference is going to be in that income graph. ShoWTimE will take a major lead because Clem, A, has 9 from the natural, and obviously has also lost a bunch of SCVs. Extra adepts coming in. I mean, there's no Stalker pressure now, I guess, so Banshee can get rid of these, but it's going to take a little while, and Clem, even pulling the Mule in there, it's a little... I say it's a little sloppy. It's one of those things which is very easy to do, but when you're watching Clem play, you expect everything to be perfect, right? You expect them to almost control-click the SCVs to pull them in instead of just boxing them. It's the little things. If this Mule could have kept mine, right? It's a few more minerals to help with the defense, you know? Alright, Raven's going to rally out here from Clem, out down to the natural expansion. As you see, again, 4 SCVs have gone down already. He's just going to be having the rest of our Stalkers from ShoWTimE setting themselves up as he gets into the third base. So Blink is on the way, RoboBay 2, and a Forge. I like what ShoWTimE has done here. He's opened up an 18-worker lead. I don't think Clem has enough of an army to go across the map and punish ShoWTimE in any way, and that's going to make up for ShoWTimE's late tech. He's absolutely going to be able to get away with that. So getting away with the late attack, I liked it from ShoWTimE, you know, really changing it up, putting the pressure onto Clem early, forcing Clem to respond, and if he doesn't respond correctly, everything can go very wrong very quickly, right? So, I like what he's done here. That's this Banshee. Coming around the top. Couple of Stalkers. Getting in position. Banshee taking a few shots of damage there, or he's just going to hold out on the top side. He was very well prepared for the Banshees and stuff. He put, you know, batteries and mineral lines and so on, so he did, you know, have to put some precautionary structures down. That's an advantage for Clem as well, right? Because if he hadn't done that, ShoWTimE has even more minerals to transition with, and that's obviously then something which you're going to be very, you know, it's just going to give ShoWTimE more of a lead off of this opening. So, you know, for Clem, there's another nice little something. The Banshee's actually forcing, you know, a defense. And right now, even keeping a couple of Stalkers at home, just this one Banshee, it's not got really anything better to do, so the fact it can get anything done right now is a pretty big positive. Observer is out through the center. Warp gate down on the bottom side. You have the couple of Medivacs and the Bayou and starting to move forward. The Raven going to get blinked on. Clem. Clem is not very careful with his Ravens. I mean, this was just completely reckless. Flies it out the front, right? It takes a completely different route to the rest of the army. I mean, Ravens are fast, but this wasn't even the Raven being fast. This was the Raven just actually not being controlled at all. And Clem, he's going to try and take a fight now with a siege tank sieged up, a second one coming. I mean, his army supply is there in theory, but imagine he has a Raven, anti-armor missile on these Zealots, a Matrix on the Colossus. You can nullify the defense of ShoWTimE. Whereas now, it's going to be that much harder. This is, of course, a fight where ShoWTimE, no charge, and no charge for a few more seconds, actually. First tank goes down, second tank is in the back here as well. Zealots are still not charging, finally it kicks in. The tank starting to target down the Colossus, but doesn't really get there in time, and Clem's going to have to kite back. Remember, no third CC hero for Clem or anything, and that's probably why we're looking at this going towards the game 3, because this attack needed to win the game. And honestly, with a Raven, it might have been able to, but without the Raven, you're just missing so much of the utility you need to really make this fight. Again, like, ShoWTimE relies so much on those Colossus, so if you take the Colossi out of the equation, it's a completely different scenario. Fire around the top, just going to be seeing the gate on the bottom. Set up over there, a few Stalkers, Zealots all joining up as well, and, well, a couple of Vikings want to go and press forward a little bit, so going to start hitting the Colossus just slightly. Nah, there's just no way, man. 3 Colossi, 2 Vikings, you got 1 siege tank as well. The only good thing here is the Zealots don't get a good fight. Like, the Zealots really are just behind the Stalkers and having a pretty bad time overall, but there's still enough just to keep the Colossi back, keep the Bayou away from the Colossi. And if the Colossi can just be allowed to keep on firing, it's going to be fine. There's a single tank here, and ShoWTimE's going to respect it, backing away. he is in zero rush to actually go forward and fight, right? He is on 3, going to 4 bases against the 2-base Terran. Clem, here come the SCVs. He's actually floating his main to the 3rd base location, so that's how desperate Clem is, as he kind of believes if he can just get a good fight, if he can find some damage, he might be able to make it work, and I don't 100% disagree, but it's going to be difficult. I mean, obviously, it requires ShoWTimE messing up more so than Clem. It requires not only Clem playing well, because it would have to be Clem playing well, but also ShoWTimE to make mistakes too, right? And that's the issue, right? When you're kind of relying on someone like ShoWTimE to make mistakes, yeah, they happen, but it has to be like such a big mistake in this sort of a position. I like it from ShoWTimE. He's going to start coming across the map. He says, you know what, surely you can't possibly have enough yet. I think even if ShoWTimE attacks in and it's not a good fight, it's still going to be okay for him because of the extra income that he has. The fight he needs to take to lose this game as ShoWTimE is going to involve him losing all the claw side basically without dealing any damage. And look at this, he's just going to rotate around the top side. No money to get any vision on the map here as Clem, so you don't get to see anything as you come around the top. A couple of SCVs going to be trying to fill in and repair this base. Obviously, this is his main orbital, remember, so you lose this and you're on 1 orbital command in the game. These Archons kind of derp through an army. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to be something like that. Archons running through the army, not doing anything. No armor upgrade on this army either. It's going to be seeing the Zealots going to start charging in. Let's see if they can somehow hold off this Bioforce for the Colossi and the Archons. I think they will be able to. As I say that, the Immortal's getting blown up. Oh my god, Clem. Okay, he's going to GG in the end because he's not mining, but jeez, he would not die. He was being a real tricky little dude to get rid of in that game number 3, sorry. I kind of forgot game number 1 happened with how quick it was. Of what is just a best of 3 here in the bottom left-hand side. Our Red Protoss player, let's give it up if we're cheering on a little bit of ShoWTimE in this series. And the upper right-hand side, our Blue Terran player from Team Liquid, let's hear it for Clem. So yes, first 2 games, or first 2 matches today, best of 3. 3rd, 4th, and 5th matches, best of 5. And that's obviously a group completed, and then we repeat for group number 2 today. So we're going to be covering Group B right now, obviously, here in Marine Down, also in this group. And also later today, Group D. You know, Group D, I was looking at Group C or D. I was like, I think obviously Group C is like the better group overall, but Group D is banging, man. Bjorn, Rogue, DRG, and Soul. With the way Soul's been playing in TvZ, hell yeah. The only thing I was thinking about that group was it could either be like an epic slog of TvZ, or it could be like TvZ, ZVZ, and I'm like, oh no, Twitch chat are gonna go wild at me. We already did 2 ZVZs yesterday. You know, there's almost like a monthly limit on how much I'm allowed to cast ZVZ before Twitch chat starts kind of shaking a little bit and getting a little bit angsty. You know what I'm saying, guys? So I'm just going to say, if it does end up being some ZVZ later, you're just going to have to bear with me. It'll be okay. We'll get through it. We'll make it entertaining, alright? Cool. I'm glad we're all on board for that. ShoWTimE's like, huh, I kind of like this early game aggression. It's pretty fun, huh? So he puts a gate to the top side, and look at Clem as well. He's scouting with the Marine. He's like, I don't want to die to the same thing again. And it's just further out than what he's expecting. So brilliantly positioned by ShoWTimE, is able to catch Clem a little bit off guard there at least. That's when we see now Pro pulling back around. Now Clem's actually proxying too. He's going to build a starport out in the front, so this is going to get wild. ShoWTimE's opening with the exact same 3-gate build, but he's actually building a Stalker already. Did he build a Stalker last time? I feel like it was pure Adept to begin with, but maybe he made a Stalker that didn't go across the map at all? I'm not 100% sure. So apologies on that one. That's something I didn't pick up on. I think it must have been 2 Adepts last time, because he showed up with 5 or 6 Adepts, right? Maybe he actually had this one build and then it was still 5. Oh, this Hellion's going to scout. This is massive for Clem. He's going to see the gateway. Wow. You know what I think you do now? I think you don't go Medevac. Okay, he goes Medevac. I think you could avoid going Medevac. You could go Liberator. Instead, it's going to take you a little while longer to go Liberator. It takes a little while, you know, a little bit more gas, 150 instead of 100. And you're not really set up for that right away, but you can just go Liberator. Then you don't necessarily need to drop the Hellions, but he is going to drop the Hellions. The thing is, Clem expanded high ground, so he's already in a bit of a safer setup. Because how is ShoWTimE going to break the ramp? Well, Spoiler alert, he probably isn't. So, probably not going to break the ramp at all here. Marine jumps into the bunker. And now ShoWTimE has 0 defenses at home, right? Hellions are going to drop into this main base. And Protoss friends, you need to shut your eyes right now, because this is not going to be pretty. Probes are going to get massacred here, burnt to a crisp, and all of their little mechanical parts are going to go flying, because this is going to be a lot of damage done. And remember that this is bad for ShoWTimE, because he's also, as we talked about in the last game, committing to no tech to be able to do this build. And he's not getting damage out of it. He's starting to kill a couple of SCVs here, just because they're kind of here repairing. Now you're going to force a warp into Stalkers at home. You're still killing probes. There's a bunch of probes lined up in the main. 26 workers are dead, by the way, and that's now 27. There's still not been a dead Hellion either. 31. ShoWTimE has 6 workers left. He does break through a depot. He does get into the main base. Just what do you really do? You leave the game, that's what. God, this is a fast ShoWTimE versus Clem series, guys. It's probably one of the fastest ShoWTimE Clem series I've ever casted. That was not quick. That was not long and epic at all. I'm sorry. I hyped us up for long, epic games. 30 minutes in, and we're done. GG's.